There is physical hunger, which physical food can satisfy. But there is spiritual hunger, which food can never satisfy. It is possible to have extreme wealth and still feel that there is incompleteness. We've all read about, I say movie stars, people of wealth who live in a house that we couldn't imagine, having servants we couldn't imagine, cooking for us every day, and we see them still not satisfied. Tragically, some young and older people commit suicide. We think, and when we see them on the outside in movies and comedies or whatever, that guy has it all together. He's got a beautiful wife, he's got a beautiful home, he's got children, blah, 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 blah. Everything we desire. He's still not full. There's something missing. Just like it says, you can fill yourself with food when you're hungry, but when you're hungry deep inside, one way I fulfilled my hunger was opening the Bible and finding Jesus. Jesus' point was all that the crowd were interested in was physical satisfaction. They had received an unexpectedly free and lavish meal, and they wanted more. Jesus was offering more, but the satisfying of their spiritual hunger. Some of them didn't even know about spiritual hunger, I'm sure. It's like some of us today do not know about spiritual hunger. What do we need to perform the works of God, they asked. When Jesus spoke about the works of God, the Jews immediately thought of terms of good work. Understandable. They believed by living a good life, it was possible to earn the favor of God. The more we do for God, the more higher up the ladder we'll be. They expected Jesus to lay down lists of things to do. What lies behind Jesus' answer? God's work was to believe in him whom he has sent. Paul said it this way: the only work that God desires from us is faith. When you have faith, I think you automatically do wonders for God. Having a relationship with God as Father and not being terrified. When I was a little girl growing up in Catholic, Italian family, I was terrified of Jesus, terrified of God. I better do it right. When I came to the Episcopal Church, I didn't see anybody terrified of God. I've seen loving, I've seen joy, even when we probably don't follow in God's footsteps. So this was a heartwarming place for me. Trustworthy and obedience, and believing God is our Father who loves us and wants nothing more than to forgive us over and over and taking our burdens off our shoulders. Drawing us near in a new relationship. This is important. Drawing near to us in a new relationship and closeness with God. We all feel close to God, and we all feel, I have a good relationship with God. Until 3 years ago, my grandson had developed migraine headaches, teenager. I prayed, everybody prayed, every day, morning, noon, night, his mother, his father, even my neighbor. The kid just got worse. My son and daughter took him to every possible doctor in all of Michigan, U of M. I prayed so hard that my daughter and son-in-law would take him to Cleveland clinic over there in Cleveland. And after 2 years of that kid suffering, they did take him. And what they do at the clinic is work on the psychological, what's going on in your body, plus the medication. And they did help him. But he still missed a lot of school, missed his 3 years of growing up. He's 17 now, so he missed 15 years. I prayed and I cried and I prayed on my knees, for 3 years. Finally, one night, it's almost like Judy. One night she said she couldn't sleep for something because this owl was hooting and hooting. So I couldn't sleep. It wasn't an owl. It was God talking to me. If you really have faith, I was a believer, let it go. Let it go. Take this burden off my shoulder and put it on Jesus' shoulder. After all, I've read about it. I've studied about it in our Bible classes. Let it go out of your hands. It took me 3 years. Laying in bed, and a calm came over me. Doesn't mean I stopped praying for Jacob. Doesn't mean I stopped worrying about him. But God took over. God is going to. It's almost like I allowed God, because I'm such in charge of my grandson. No, God is in charge. So I let it go. I'll never forget that, laying in bed. It just, like water just washed right through you. We don't know what is ahead of us. We've had a good life. We don't have people out there shooting at us when we're going into our cars. We are blessed to where we live. We are blessed. We got to thank that, Lord, every day that we're blessed. So I finally let this go, and I felt so much. And like I said, Jacob still gets his headaches. They're tapering down. The doctors think with adolescence that had a lot to do with it. So the older he gets, hopefully, the better he will get. But I know, I thought I had faith, but now I have a new faith. Jesus told us about God. There's 3 things we should remember. Not very much, is there? 3 things. 3. Number 1, God is love. Remember that. No matter what rocks we stumble on, He is right there helping us. God is love. In our lives, there must be love and serve and forgiveness, like Jesus does to us. Family, our friends, our neighbors, our enemies. The stranger in Kroger's who just dropped a bag of oranges that are rolling all over the floor, and you stoop to help her. That's what God wants. God is holiness. Our lives must be pure in thought, words, and action. It's wonderful to read the Bible every day. Wonderful. But when you see this woman in Kroger's with her things rolling all over the floor, God wants you to have service, help. When someone cuts in front of you with driving, you know my driving record. Don't say the words you really want to say. Lately, I've been doing real good because I've been reading this. I've been letting people get in front of me. You know, when there's a lineup, I'll let one go, but I'm not going to let the whole row. So I let one go, and I feel good. They wave. Instead of waving the other way, they're waving, oh, thank you, thank you. So you feel good when you help others, and you make Jesus smile. And the third thing is God is wisdom. In our lives, there must be complete submission and trust in the wisdom of God. I know what complete submission is. I can testify that too. I gave God completeness of me over my grandson and over my life too. So we got God is love, God is holiness, and God is wisdom. The new relationship with God. The essence of the Christian life is a new relationship to God. I can't stress that enough. A relationship offered by Him and made possible by the revelation which Jesus gave us. A relationship in service, purity, and trust. Jesus' reply is brief and simple. We must believe in Him whom God has sent. Pleasing God does not come from the work we do, but whom we believe. We have plenty to do to serve Him. We all know that. From the first step, but the first step involves accepting that Jesus' claims are true. True belief. Then we can build our spiritual lives on this firm foundation. A little something about the manna from heaven. Jesus said, "Very truly I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but my Father, who gives you the true bread from heaven. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." I found this little article that ties everything together. God works in mysterious ways. It's called Bread, and it was written by Helia Osha. I live in a small Mexican city where every morning and evening you can hear a distant cry, "Bread, bread." A man with a huge basket on his bike offers a great variety of fresh, sweet, and salty breads for sale. I used to live in a bigger city where I had to go to the bakery to buy bread. So I enjoyed having fresh bread brought to my door. Moving from the thought of feeding physical hunger to spiritual hunger, I think of Jesus' words, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever." Someone has said that evangelism is really one beggar telling another beggar where to find food, such as bread. Many of us can say, "Once I was spiritually hungry, spiritually starving because of my sins. Then I heard the good news. Someone told me where to find bread in Jesus, and my life changed." Now we have the privilege and the responsibility of pointing others to this bread of life. We can share Jesus in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our places of recreation. We can talk about Jesus in the waiting room and on the bus or on the train. We can take the good news to others through doors of friendship. Jesus is the bread of life. Let's tell everybody the great news. Dear Jesus, help us share the bread of life wherever we may go. Oh,